Hey there, ladies and gents, welcome back to the vlog. My name is Drew, hoping you are having a fantastic day today. We're here for another episode of Drew's Startup Vlog, and today I have these. These are keycaps, and I realize this has nothing at all to do with the lesson that we're going to be going into today, but I figured I'm going to be putting these on my keyboard, and I also need to make a video, so why not kill two birds with one stone? So I'm going to be shooting this video in between pulling keycaps, and it might be entertaining. I don't know. If you're the kind of person that likes to watch somebody put keycaps on a keyboard, then by all means, this will be the most entertaining video you've probably seen today. But if you're not that kind of person, well, listen to the words that I'm saying. Maybe put me in another tab, but you don't have to watch me putting keycaps on my keyboard. Unless you want to. Open your horizons, venture out, that sort of thing. But without further ado, today we're going to be talking about another viewer request. My good friend Mullen sent me a text the other day, and he suggested that I do a video where I talk about purpose, or like pivoting, I guess you can say, or that sometimes we have a notion that we have to be a certain thing, either from our parents or from ourselves or from external forces, but you can always pivot to something else that you enjoy doing more than the thing that you think you're supposed to be doing with your life. And you can do that at any point in your life too. So let's jump into that and put some keycaps on my keyboard. Roll the B-reel. So these are Red Dragon brand keycaps, and they had a really high rating on Amazon. I think I've heard of the company before, so I decided to go with this set. They're only 20 bucks, I think, so not too bad. Obviously keycaps can get into the hundreds of dollars if you get like a custom set or like some exotic colors or exotic plastics, but for just a basic starter set, I feel like this is the best way to go. So we'll see how they stand up over time. And you may be wondering to yourself, well, why would you go for white keycaps when the black ones look just fine? Well, they do, but I just want white on white with blue underneath. It looks kind of icy. And so, yeah, my personal touch. So I know there are plenty of videos and unboxings where people use interesting instruments to open their boxes, but I'm just going to be a basic wench and use some scissors. So first thing I'm going for here is this keycap tool. And as I mentioned, today we're talking a little bit about purpose. And Carl Jung, who is a famous psychologist from days past, once said that the greatest opportunity in life is to become who you truly are. And I really like that quote a lot because it speaks a lot to purpose and how we kind of have a calling in life to discover what we enjoy doing and doing it. And that's the best way to live life, honestly, versus living somebody else's life or doing something that legitimately doesn't make you happy. And so it's one of the hardest things. That's sometimes I know that throughout my life I felt like I would have to be doing a certain thing or I'd have to live up to some certain expectations, and it's a very existential moment, I guess you can say, or it's something that a lot of people struggle with, and rightfully so, because it's a tall order to know what you want to do for the rest of your life, and we're talking 50, 60, 70 years. But I promise you that you don't have to do the same thing for 70 long years or 60, 50, even 40 if you don't enjoy it. There are people who pivot into new industries like 30 or so years into their career, or even sooner than that. I've known some people that will start in a job at and work at it for a couple years, maybe a decade or so, realize that they don't like it, and they go and do something else that they enjoy. One thing that really helped me to determine my kind of first keycap, very good. The only other thing I have to do is get these. I have these little rubber bands or these dampeners in here that keep the noise down on my keyboard, so I'm going to have to redo all of those, but no worries. But getting back to what I was talking about, one of the things that really helped me when I was kind of soul searching and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. Oh, that's going to look pretty. I like that already. was just asking myself, what could I legitimately do for the next 30 years of my life and really enjoy? And it's not a question of how much money do I want, how successful do I want to be, but what do I really enjoy doing? If I could get paid $300,000, $400,000 a year to do anything in the world, what would that be? And for some people it's programming, for some people it's cooking, for some people it's art, for some people it's being an electrician. There's so many amazing things that we can do as human beings, and I think that this is getting challenging. I don't want to sell you short and say that you can't be successful at one certain thing. I know electricians who run their own electrical companies, well, not electrical companies, but like they're electricians, they own their own business, and they cash like $300,000-$400,000 checks every year, and they have multiple employees and everything like that. So the climate, and at least here in the United States, is such that if you work hard at something, you will become prosperous at it. If you make the right decisions and you're wise and you make good decisions, not just wise decisions, but good decisions. A wise decision and a good decision aren't always the same thing. But inevitably, if you can do anything and enjoy it, there's a chance that you can make a fair amount of money at it if you have the passion for it. Because really what makes the big bucks, or what's going to get you to be more successful in life, is doing something that is you're just uncannily good at, I guess you can say. It's almost like you're cheating, as the way that I've had it described to me in the past. So don't look at the money, don't look at the success or the prestige or anything like that. More so, just look at stuff that you enjoy doing. It could be drawing, it could be playing video games, it could be cooking, it could be programming. And I promise you, there's some way, somehow, to make a lot of money at that. And the rest of the stuff will fall into place if you have the passion for what you're doing. Now, when it comes to pivoting, saying that you maybe had an idea of what you wanted to do with your life, but you figured out later down the road that it just wasn't for you, that's okay too. All we have is time in this life, and the worst that could happen is in the process of pivoting, you die or something happens to you and you end up not being able to do that certain thing, but you still lived a life that was prosperous and you were on the path to getting to a place that was really you. And remember to quote Jung from earlier, the chief pleasure in life, or the best part about living, is that you become who you truly are. And I don't think it's the destination. When you actualize and you kind of come to that place where you are who you're meant to be, that's great and all, but there's so much more pleasure and so much more fun in going along that road and discovering what it is that you enjoy doing and becoming one of the best at it. So yeah, that would be my advice. It's never too late to pivot. It's never too late to change your pace or change your way of living. Realize that you may have to struggle a little bit because it's not the easiest thing to rip up your life and, start on something new. You may have some responsibilities to your family or to your kids or to your school or whatever it is you're doing in life that you have to be considerate of. But I promise you, once you start heading in the right direction, it's only going to feel better and better every single day. And being the founder and lead developer at Mechanics, I can tell you that every day I get to wake up, I have the pleasure of being Andrew and being the founder and CEO and lead developer of Mechanics Codeworks, and I get to work on projects that I enjoy working on. And some days it's harder than others, but I can't say that I'm bored yet, and I really enjoy where we're going. So again, it's a journey. I'm not sitting pretty quite yet. I don't have a whole lot of money out of this endeavor, but I hope to get there someday, and I'm thankful for the opportunity that I can work on projects and I can leverage my talents to make the world a better place and make a buck or two at it. So again, it's a journey. It's not a race, it's a journey, and as you get to that area, you'll slowly learn each and every day that it hurts a little bit less that you're turning away from a certain lifestyle, and it'll become even better as you move closer and closer to the lifestyle that you're meant to have, or that's going to make you truly happy. So that's that. And there's another part of this that I wanted to talk about, and that is the pressures that we have from outside of our lives. And, well, not outside of our lives, but, well, yes and no. Part of our life and kind of outside forces as well. So I was thankful, or I was blessed to have parents that cared very deeply about me and always pushed me to do my best. And they were after me for grades a lot in high school and in college, and that was really great because, well, pretty much all my life, not just high school and college, but all my life. But they saw that there was opportunity in education, and my dad's a pretty well educated guy. My mom was very keen on grades too. So education was obviously a very important thing in my family. And so education means opportunity, but I feel like a lot of people take that to the nth degree, and they say that not only do you have to become educated and make good grades, but you have to live this life that I'm designing for you. The I'm part being your parents or your friends or whoever you value or whoever's opinion you value. And I don't want to say that's unhealthy, but it's unreasonable to think that you can make decisions for other people about what they should do with their lives, because inevitably that's up to you, whether you realize it or not. It is your decision what you do with your life, and as you grow older, you come to realize that responsibility more and more. And for some people, it's scary, and myself included. It's kind of scary thinking about that it's on me now that I have to, perform and do things. But it's really not that hard once you take the right perspective with it. But inevitably, nobody can tell you what you are meant to do with your life. Only you have to make that decision yourself, and it's on you. And there are people that will guide you. Obviously, my parents guided me, but there's a difference between being guided in something and being told or ordered to do something for vicarious reasons or whatever powers may be, what have you. And I feel like a lot of people, they want to make sure, like, all of those feelings like, hey, you should be this or you should be that, those always come from a good place. Like somebody has seen that there's opportunity in a certain area, being like a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. Those are all very good professions, and they have very good longevity. And that's well-founded. I think people who push their kids really hard oftentimes will want to have something better for their kid, or they want their kid to have better than what they had because they didn't have the opportunity to be that person. But again, there's kind of a vicarious experience to this, because sometimes people take it to the nth degree and they feel like as long as their kids are doing well or their kids are doing something, then that in turn means that they're doing it, which isn't true, is a double negative, isn't true. Like I said, it's all up to you what you do with your life, and it's not up to somebody else to decide. And I hate to say it, but if there are people in your life that are telling you one way or the other that you have to be one way or the other, or you have to do this or you have to do that, you don't have to listen to them. Take what they say with a grain of salt and understand that it's probably coming from a good place, but at the end of the day, it's up to you what you want to do with your life. And I know I talked about Mullen earlier. Mullen pivoted from going to school for, I believe, dentistry, and now he's doing animation, which is something that he's truly passionate about. And his parents support him wholeheartedly, from what I understand. So sometimes you need to stand on your own 2 feet and kind of give that, I don't want to say final stand, but once people realize that it's not up to them, or they have it kind of pushed back at them and they say, hey, or somebody says, hey, this isn't up to you, it's up to me, that's when they kind of, the light clicks and they say, oh, I'm in too deep here. I'm clearly out of my league here. I shouldn't be making this decision for somebody, especially not my kid or somebody that I care about. And so from there, it gets a lot easier for them to see, and then they can become more supportive and so on and so forth. And again, I don't want to step on any toes. I don't want to rip any families apart. Obviously, there's a lot of dynamics, and you know your family better than I do, but there is a polite way to gently tell somebody that they're wrong, or that you want to do something more so than what they want you to do. And obviously, if it's not hurting anybody, then it makes sense. But obviously, if there's something that's going to legitimately harm somebody else, then don't do it, because that's a bad idea. But for the most part, if you're choosing a career, you're like Mullen, and you say, hey, I don't really want to be a dentist or a neurosurgeon, but I want to be an animator because that's what I'm truly passionate about, then by all means, that's a decision that you are empowered to make. It's your life and your decision, so go for it. And don't look back. Well, do look back. Look back and evaluate if you're making the right decision. But once you're at that place and you know that you've made a decision that has bettered your life, then don't look back. And to be honest with you, when you reach that point, you won't be able to look back because you'll be so focused on the future and becoming the best person or the best whatever that you're doing to really look back and wonder what if I'd stayed with what my parents told me or what my friend told me or whoever told me. So yeah, you'll know you're on the right track when you don't want to look back at any other options and you just kind of want to be yourself. So I want to make sure nobody's coming into my room. I think I heard my door creak. So yeah, that would be my advice to anybody about pivoting. Remember that it's up to you what you do with your life, and for better or for worse. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you have to be this or you have to be that because it's on you. And I sometimes don't think that we're told that early enough in life that it's on us. And again, if you're scared of that, if you're scared of the notion that you have to make your own decisions and stuff like that, that's fine. I was scared when I had to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, and I was worried if I was making the right decision. But you'll know you're on the right track when you don't look back and you feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I'm uncannily good at this, and it's almost like I'm cheating when I do this. So yeah, that would be my advice. And whether it's into software, whether it's into starting a landscaping company, starting a salsa company, being an electrician, being a plumber, again, there's money to be made anywhere that you go. And you just have to be good and passionate about your job, because I can guarantee you there's businesses in this market that aren't passionate about it. They're in it for a quick buck or they're in it for something else, but your passion will shine through. And when you show legitimate care for the work that you do and you take pride in what you do, people will notice that, and they're willing to pay top dollar for that because they know they're getting the best service possible. Because you can't put a dollar amount on passion, and the work shows. When you have somebody who's passionate about a project versus somebody who's indifferent, the person who's passionate about it, their work shines through. So yeah, that's just a couple wise words for you guys. I had another point that I wanted to get into, but I can't remember what it was. But be sure to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys are thinking about in your life and what decisions you're trying to make. And again, I can't make that decision for you, but I can maybe guide you in that direction, or I can give you my opinion, as scathing as it may be. Or maybe there's somebody else in the comment section who's going exactly through or has gone through what you've gone through and can help you out with that. I've always said that the ultimate act of empathy, or the best thing that we can do as human beings for one another, is to share our suffering. And I believe that if you have gone through something or you have experience with something, that if you share that with somebody, you're doing them the greatest service that any human being can render another person. You're saying that I've suffered through this and I've gone through hell and back with this thing, but I want to make sure that you don't have to go through that the same way that I did, because I wouldn't want to subject anybody to that. And so that to me is the ultimate act of empathy. And that's a common question that I ask a lot of people when I'm getting to know them. It's like, what do you view as the most empathetic thing a human being can do? It's a very existential question, obviously. It's not a normal topic of small talk, but I like to know because I like to broaden my horizons. But when somebody says something along those same lines, I kind of turn my head and be like, oh wow, we feel on the same wavelength, or we see things in a very similar light. So I'm all about it. Man, these keycaps are so nice. Let me speed things up, and then if I think of something that I want to talk about, I will stop the video and we'll jump into that. But other than that, time lapse. So here is a programming pro tip. Yeah, I felt like throwing something. If you haven't done it already, flip your spacebar. And the reason that I'm saying that is because it's more ergonomically sound, from what I understand, at least for different spacebars. If your spacebar has kind of a taper to it, I guess you could say, it's easier to invert it because it's a little bit easier to hit it versus when it's spun around this way and it's kind of downwards. So flip your spacebar. That's a way. Okay. Yeah, it's just a little bit more comfortable and a little bit easier to press. So if you're a pro Fortnite gamer and you need all those precious input seconds, then be sure to flip your spacebar. Yo, shout out to all the people who played Type to Learn back in the day. So if you don't know what Type to Learn is, Type to Learn was like this game from like the 90s that was installed on all the computers back at my middle school. And we had a typing class that we had to do. And again, this game was from like the 90s, so I'm talking like 16-bit graphics. Like it wasn't a AAA title like Fork Knife or any of those other games, Apex, PUBG Grounds, or whatever the kids are playing these days. But there was always the homing position where they're like, A, S, you have to click all the keys, and I can still, to this day, hear this lady, like this synthesized voice that was like, A, S, D, F, G, H, J, K, L, and then you get to semicolon, it was semicolon, like bass boosted. And yeah, that was Type to Learn. So shout out. Drop a comment if you played Type to Learn back in your middle school days. If I had a nickel for every time one of those little rubber bands fell onto the floor and I'd have to go and bend over and pick it up, I would have exactly 37 cents. Now you may be asking yourself, Andrew, how the heck can you get 37 cents out of nickels? Well, I said I'd get a nickel for every time it fell. But I never told you what I already had in my pocket. It could have been like 32 cents. And then one rubber band fell off and now I have 37 cents. So yeah, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. See, there's another nickel. Now I have 42 cents. I'm surprised that I can do head math that quickly. It's late in the evening and my brain is shot from a day of programming. So you're welcome, Internet. I can still do mental math pretty quickly. Also, 7 times 3 is 21, and so is 9 plus 10. Actually, that's completely false. It's 19. I was just quoting a meme, but carry on. Alrighty, ladies and gents, here we are. And I really like the look of this. And I noticed on the bottom row, since I have a reduced keyboard, or one that doesn't have the T10 keys, I guess the OEM keycaps, or these new one keycaps, are smaller than the OEM ones, so I may have to 3D print some special ones for this lower row, but in the meantime, everything else fit just fine, so I really like the look of this. I feel like white keyboards are coming back. They were pretty big during the early 2000s, like with the Apple Pro keyboard and the IBM Pro M keyboard, if I remember correctly. That was more of a beige color, but yeah, the only thing I'm worried about is they do pick up oil a little bit quicker, so I'll have to see how these look in like 3 months. But right now, they look really aesthetic, and I am primed and ready to vanquish noobs and do it in an aesthetic fashion. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And like I said, the greater meaning behind this video is to talk about purpose and finding your purpose and how you kind of make that decision. But there's also the added bonus of getting to watch me suffer through replacing keycaps, which was something of a struggle because now my fingers kind of hurt. But we will finish up today's video in the normal way, and that is by me saying, always remember, friends, that you are wanted, you are loved, and you are appreciated. You have a special talent that nobody else has, and the world is waiting on you to bring it out. So muster a little courage, go out into the world, and change it. That's what the world's waiting on. You.